Well, good morning, everybody. As I'm sure a lot of you saw, a couple of hours after I released yesterday's morning, the Storm Prediction Center upgraded this area over parts of Oklahoma to a high risk. So high risk, just for reference, are quite rare. They're usually maybe issued once a year. That's how often we get the conditions that are necessary to warrant the high risk. And as you can see on this satellite image, the storms not only ripped off here, but they went all the way up this line, clear up into parts of North Dakota yesterday. On the back side of it, as the sun was setting, we can see the sand being blown over from the White Sands National Park and the large dust storm that followed in parts of Texas. This overall was a very windy system, strong downslope winds off the Rocky Mountains, wraparound precipitation up here in parts of Montana, which is going to continue into the near term. And this is, again, not to ignore these storms that are out ahead of this, big storms over parts of the southeast, getting up into the Carolinas as well, that we're going to take a closer look at here in a few moments. But I want to show you this. If we just kind of zoom in here on these storms, there was a very interesting storm interaction that happened last night that I want to show you. And as you watch, it's kind of hard to see under this large anvil shield that is just kind of covering all of the very kind of intricate dynamics that are going underneath this. I want to point something out. So I'm going to take you to, again, my favorite radar app, Radar Scope, and I want to show you one of the really quite devastating events that happened last night. And it's over the town of Barnsdall right here. So you can see this supercell, this large supercell out ahead of this squall line. What's good about this animation is to show you just the sheer size difference between these linear features, like this big squall line, which produce some strong straight line winds, and supercells. Supercells are small comparatively, but you need to remember that I think pound for pound, supercells are the most powerful expression of weather on Earth. And you can see right in through here on the backside the hook echo, very well-defined hook echo, and this produced a large tornado that did a tremendous amount of damage last night in Barnsdall. We're still figuring out this morning what the situation is. So this is, I don't want to take any of the seriousness away from this by talking about the science of it. But eventually the squall line overtook it and completely took away the individual characteristic of this single supercell and just absorbed it into the flow. And that squall line this morning is still pushing, and I don't know if you can hear it on my microphone, but it's storming upstairs. I'm down in the basement. I'm about an hour and a half late recording this morning, not because of that storm, but because we had an ECMWF run failure last night. I think they were merging all of their new artificial intelligence onto our production system, our production data dissemination system, and it knocked us out, and my fail-safes didn't grab it. So I apologize that I'm later than normal this morning, but this is where we are. Okay, let's go back to here. Let's blow this up so you can see this a bit better. And I want to comment quickly just on the storms that were in the southeast, which, by the way, are still there this morning. Take a look at some of the deeper convection rolling through parts of South Carolina. Now, yesterday, these storms really popped from Tennessee up here into parts of Kentucky. And this overall setup here over the southeast led to multiple reports of severe weather. Let's see if we can go back and grab those reports here. There we go. So 17 reports so far, 339 on the day. 17 tornado reports, so far, 339 on the day. And you can just see that I think that high risk was warranted for this region. Did it stretch all the way down to the Red River? It didn't. The storm stayed north of that area, but it was still an impressive setup to say the least. Okay, last 72 hours of total accumulated precipitation. In fact, it just turned past 7 o'clock. Should get the new one. There it is. This is what I've got. And some areas just got hit again and again with heavier and heavier rain. Now, I look back over the last 72 hours, and there are a few places, though, I'm really happy to see some of this rain. For example, even though the storm streaked through parts of Kansas, I know some places were missed. This is more rain for dry areas. Take a look at Montana. And this is all going to try to fill in a bit more on the backside here. Remember, we've talked a lot about North Carolina being drier, Virginia being drier. Well, there's been some decent moisture that's got into that area. And again, a lot of this into the Sierra Nevada with snow and some rain here in the Central Valley of California. I've been working on some new radar data, and this is just a quick animated GIF of what this stuff is going to look like once I get it live on the website. But this is a pretty long animation here through this morning. Actually goes back 6 full hours or excuse me, 8 full hours, just to show you the evolution of the storm system. And I've got this all broken up by region and stuff, so this will all be showing up on the website very soon as you start to dig through it. It's not a tile server. I wish I knew how to build those. Maybe I'll learn soon. But this is just where this squall line has ended up this morning. So it's cleared through Missouri and Iowa. It's over the Mississippi River, and it is coming right through the midsection of Illinois here, but stretches all the way up into Wisconsin and pretty far to the south here as well. Now, this morning, in fact, let's get an update on this. There's a 720. We did have tornado watch that was out for this, but I want to just take you back west again, because remember, this is a multifaceted system. And while we're going to watch the Ohio River Valley later today, the next wave still is yet to come out into the parts of the southern plains and getting in here into the mid-south. So another day of high wind watches, advisories, warnings, red flag warnings. We've got issues, right in through here where we're talking about, snow still in the mountains and freeze watches that are in place. Take a close look at this. And we've got still a lot of energy left in this trough that's just spinning here over the western United States. But early this morning, wanted to get a good look at the lightning. This is quite active as this squall line passes through. But take a look at this. This is just the last 24 hours of lightning strikes. These are cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. We've measured nearly 400,000 of them out of this system that went through. So this was quite potent. So where are we today in terms of severe weather? Ohio River Valley. That's where the focus will be, and we'll show you what's going on there in just a few moments. This is where we're going to be watching tomorrow. So again, I told you part of the southern plains into the mid-south and the Ohio Valley is under the risk tomorrow on the 8th for the risk of strong storms. And then once we get into the 9th, it's going to really lie from central Texas all along the Gulf Coast and up the East Coast. So 3 more days, including today, for the risk of the severe weather. All right, so let's get in and have a look at the high-res model. I'm going to pick this up at 8 a.m. since I'm recording pretty late this morning. And I think well initialized, right? I mean, we saw right there, that's where the storms were this morning. We saw some of the isolated convection still rolling down here, and there was some snow on the backside of this. So playing through the rest of today, it will be 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon that we're going to start to watch for the storms to begin to pop here again. And I know you may look at this and it doesn't look like much, but this is deep convection we're expecting to hit this area later tonight. On the backside of this, the wraparound into Montana, yes, we could be getting some snow into these areas, but a pretty cold rain wrap around the backside of this. So here we are going into the overnight hours on Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. About sunrise on Wednesday morning, here we go. Playing throughout the day on Wednesday. This is that final wave sneaking around the backside. So you can see the low curling up in parts of Iowa, but out ahead of it into the south. We'll keep a close eye on this area for the risk of the strong to severe storms on Wednesday evening. And as this blasts on through, goes right back through parts of the Ohio Valley, we're going to have some rain to the north of this, and then that will get us into the risk as we get into the 9th on Thursday, right down through here. So that's the quick look at these next couple of days. Bigger picture, I don't have the artificial intelligence. I believe because they migrated it over to their normal data dissemination, they may be having a problem with their HTTPS server, and my download missed this morning, but we're going to get that fixed. So I'm going to show you the National Blend of Models next 7 days. This is the WPC next 7 days. This is the GFS next 7 days. And I did manage to get the run sneaking in there from the European, and there it is, the next 7 days. That's the corrected data. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. There are some very interesting differences in the models that may seem subtle and almost completely ignorable to the naked eye, but I want to show you what happens with this pattern once we get past these next few days. Ready? Let's compare models, GFS to the European, and we've already seen. There we go. Let's get into that Wednesday night time frame. So very important to be watching the radar in this area for the risk of those strong to severe storms. Montana, you still have the upslope flow coming. This is all the way through Wednesday evening. As we play forward into Thursday afternoon and evening, again, this will be the time frame we're watching here for the risk of those strong to severe storms. Now watch this. From Thursday into Friday, as we play out here through Friday night into Saturday, what I'm really watching carefully is this backside of this system tossing showers into this area throughout the day on Saturday. It's in both models. But what we can't see until I show it to you on the heights is there's actually an upper level low that's sitting here. So there's two. There's one over there, and there's an upper level low sitting here. And the models are not treating it the same. What I mean by that is through Sunday into Monday, you can start to see something going on over here. Maybe another weak low that rolls up through here that leaves a frontal boundary draped that upper level low might try to ride along. But the models are bouncing all over the place with the precipitation totals and what to expect. But if I was in the Western Plains down here, I want an upper level low to slowly migrate out of Arizona to Mexico, because that'll make a good draw on moisture. So as we look at it here, we're a week out in the forecast now. This is next Monday night into Tuesday morning. And just take note of the differences in where the models are putting precip. I mean, just show you that again. This is Monday through Wednesday. Monday through Wednesday of next week. Repeated chances of rain here. Not severe, but repeated chances of rain here with storms rolling through the southeast as well. So I bring that up because I want you to see this. The probability of getting an inch over the next 7 days looks something like this. But as I include part of next week, do you see how the probabilities are growing in this area? Now, a lot of what you see here is coming now and from the subsequent weaker systems that follow. And of course, most of this is in the next 3 days. But I just saw this increase right in this area that we have to just take note of. So what I think we need to talk about is what is the upper level pattern showing, I guess, with that cutoff low. So here we go. This is the deep low that's sneaking through right now. This is the one that produces the multi-day severe weather threat. And there we are. Now watch. The flow pattern does that. That is almost high over low. Not blocked because it's not going to be there for 10 plus days, but it's what it looks like. So there's one upper level low, a larger pressure trough here, and then there's another low here. So those are kind of the two that we're talking about. Okay, that's Thursday. As we play later, here we go. 1, 2. This is Friday. So this flow is doing something like this and leaving this lingering low in this area. This gets us into the weekend. And it stays there. This is all the way now through Saturday morning. It's still sitting here while this broader trough dives in. If there's frost risk out of this, I think it's up here. I think it's really far to the north and east. It's not. We could get some lows that are in the 30s here. I'll show you when maybe up the UP of Michigan and northern Wisconsin maybe see a frost, but I don't get the risk down here farther to the south with this. But where are we? We're Saturday getting into Sunday and Monday. Now watch. This was the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. See this? It's trying to sneak out here slowly. Right there. Just the lower heights and lower pressure associated with this and moves along the south. But another ridge rebuilds into this area, keeping that warm. So why I'm struggling with this is because the GFS ensemble on Sunday night looks like this. The European looks like that. And you're going, well, Eric, is there really any difference? Those subtle changes in the position of the jet stream here and here, these troughs moving east in the European, and the depth of the trough that's here, like let me show you. How about we just take it out, I don't know, 186 hours? That would be 18Z on the 14th. Watch. 18Z on the 14th. Here it is. Now as I go back and forth, do you see how much deeper of a wave this is? Like watch, just watch it again. This is next Tuesday. That's the European. This is the GFS. Now, the reason why I'm going over this repeatedly is because of this. The European model brings in drier air in through here and keeps the wetter conditions as the more flat wave slides along the south. See that? What does the GFS do? It's got wetter conditions across a broader area of the plains. Why? Because the wave is deeper. And we just need to watch the evolution of it. I don't know. I honestly don't know which one is right. We have to get out there and see how this all evolves once we get to this weekend when that low cuts off over Arizona. So there you go. That's the week 2. The week 2 ECMWF says plant. The week 2 GFS says we may have some more wet days in here. So important differences in the models. All right, beyond that, let's talk temperatures. We do have, as I mentioned, the risk of frost here and here. And then, of course, at elevation in the west. Take a look at the min temperatures. These were this morning's min temperatures. Getting into Wednesday morning, that's where the risk comes out into parts of Colorado. Watch it carefully here. A lot of desert farmers in that area. Be careful. As we go then into Thursday, Again, another cold one here, but watch, by Friday morning, we have our frost event hitting the UP and parts of northern Wisconsin. This is the colder air that sneaks through, getting into Saturday morning and Sunday. This is where the big high sits over the northwest. All the heat comes back. The cooler air dives across the country. And as we mentioned, there's going to be nights here as we approach this weekend that are down in the 30s, mid-30s. And there could be some, I'm guessing Saturday morning or Sunday morning, there could be a couple of areas right in through here that hit a frost. I'm talking here on that morning. Probably not on this side of the Great Lakes. What about max temperatures? Here's today's max temperature. Such a cold rain with embedded snow here. But that's all about to change because by Wednesday into Thursday, watch what happens going into Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Look at the heat coming back into the west. And by Monday, I think we're past any sort of a frost threat for a lot of area in through here. The day 5 through 10 looks something like this. Look at that ridge and its influence on the west. Here's the day 10 through 15. And there's some agreement between that and the European. That's day 5 through 10 in the European. Here's day 10 through 15. So I think we're going to hopefully get some windows to slow down the pattern, to open things up, stop the severe weather threat, and get some crop in by the middle of this month and beyond. But we need to just keep an eye on that pesky trough coming out of Arizona next week. All right, a little bit beyond this. I thought it would be important for us to just do a quick kind of retrospective here on how well the models did. So this is the April outlook, this past April, from the Climate Prediction Center. This was the April outlook from the ECMWF. And this is the April outlook using the analogs. Let's do that again real quick. This is the April outlook from the CPC. This is what actually happened. First, temperatures. So much warmer here, cooler west. Did they get that? Kind of. Not bad. It was much cooler to the north than this. What about on the precipitation side? Very, very wet in through here. Extremely wet down here between the Mississippi River and eastern Texas. Dry in the Carolinas, dry in central Kansas, which we talked about. A bit drier up the west coast. How'd they do? I mean, we can't argue that the pattern was terrible from the CPC. I don't know. I kind of like it. Well, what about the European model? Overall cooler. This was, again, a bit biased by the snowpack. A bit biased, but it was still cool here. They called for very wet across the south, and actually quite wet and stormy throughout the midsection. I think a little bit drier in the northwest. Temperature-wise, kind of missed it on the temperatures. But precipitation-wise, way over predicted here. Kind of over predicted there, and certainly into Kansas. They missed this big time. So this European model has been struggling a lot lately. What about my analogs? Remember I told you all the years that were El Nino winters that were gone by, El Nino was gone by spring. That's what we put out there. I think the only thing I got right was that I said the risk of severe storms because on the temperature side of things, I guess it wasn't terrible. But on the precipitation side of things, remember that's what actually happened. And we were much wetter into this area with our forecast. There were some early planting windows here, but then they were shut off pretty quickly. So I would give myself, I'm going to go with a D+. I think the European model, because of the whiff on temperatures, I'd also give them maybe a D+. I'm going to give NOAA. NOAA, I'm going to give you a B+. I was pretty darn good. Sorry, I used to be a professor, so that's what I get to do. All right, okay, NOAA. What about your next couple of weeks? This is the end of the month, 18th through the 31st. And I look at it, and I certainly see this coming in this weekend and lingering a little bit into next weekend. And with more ridging in the west, this makes sense. But how long do we really keep that pattern? And are they keeping this region wet in through here because of the risk of maybe this kind of stacked up pattern that just kind of kicks off little weak shortwaves into this area? That is possible in this setup. I will go ahead and show you what the European model is trying to do for the same time period. So remember, we're going to go from week 3 and week 4 in the forecast, which this is what week 3 is going to look like. Ready? That's what we've got for week 3. No real clear signal from the European model. And as we try to finish this up, that's week 4. So the European model backs out again on any sort of discernible signal. So we're just going to, I guess, have to look at this because I don't think the analogs are going to pan out that well either. A lot of tricky forecasting going on right now in the month of May. But let's go ahead and just keep looking beyond that. And I'm going to show you, go to Tropical Tidbits. If you come to this website, come up here and click on Analysis Tools. Then go over here to the ocean analysis. That's what I did. What I'm interested in showing you here is this graphic. So this is the 7-day change in ocean temperature. And you know how I'm watching so very carefully this warm water to see if it noses into this area by the time we get into summer. The other thing to take note of is we got a lot of blue showing up in here, which is partly the reason why if we look at the ocean temperatures right here, we're now down almost to average on ocean temperatures. This is a pretty quick collapse of El Nino. So what does it mean? Well, yesterday we looked at the kind of U.S. view of this. Let's just go global and make note of a few things. Now, you know we've been drier in the Russian wheat belt, the southern Russian wheat belt, right in through here. We've been rainy and flooding south of the Yangtze, which is right in through that area. Eastern Australia right now and going forward has some wetter conditions, and the monsoon shut down a bit earlier in South America. So I kind of drew that or talked about that on top of the May, June, July forecast, which is suggesting, again, drier parts of Eastern Europe, still wet south of the Yangtze. Looks to be wet early in southern India. Eastern Australia stays wetter, and the dry season comes on kind of drier than average in South America. What about June, July, August? Looks pretty stormy throughout China. Still drier in this area, according to the model. Very wet throughout Indonesia. Looks like once the monsoon gets going, it's going to be quite wet. This could hit cotton pretty hard right in this area. They grow a lot of cotton here. That's June, July, August. And might as well just step it out again and look at August, September, October. One of the main features a lot of us are thinking about is just take a look at how wet this corridor is currently showing up in the models. This is just one of the reasons why we're concerned about the the hurricane activity late this season. That's August, September, October. Also looks like it's going to be very active typhoon season for this whole side from the Philippines up to China into Japan. All things we need to keep close note of. All right, let's finish this up quickly by looking at near term, next 10 days. As I mentioned, dry in this area, but look how cold it is across the northern parts of western Russia. Let's take a look at how cold it's expected to get down here into Argentina. We talked a bit yesterday about the frost risk. If we look at the next 10 days on total precip, there's rain here, probably some snow too, but that little section right in through there in the Russian wheat belt is drier. Much of Europe, northern Europe in through here is looking drier as well. And I don't have much of a difference in the narrative south of the Yangtze, still flooding. Eastern Australia, wetter conditions. And take a look down here at South America. Just to show you something, this is a 30-day estimate on total precipitation. And again, widespread 8 to 20 plus inches of rain into this area. And you're seeing this drier region up here in Minas Gerais, and that's not where we're growing, up toward Bahia as well, but we're not growing a lot of our safrinha crop there. Most of it's in Mato Grosso, which for a big part of that 30 days probably saw adequate rainfall. But we do know that the monsoon is off while there's still flooding rains hitting Rio Grande do Sul, which just makes that situation so much worse than it had already been. So that's what I want to share with you today. Hopefully tomorrow morning goes a little smoother with getting the model data in. But with that, we'll wrap it up. Have a good one. Thanks.